Well, this is going to be volume 3 of my 10 games my Super Nintendo collection. So let's look at 10 more games that I have in my Super Nintendo collection. An RPG that I have really fond memories of playing one summer and just really enjoying. If you haven't watched any of the other games in this series, I have this series where I talk about games in my Super Nintendo collection, and I have one where I talk about games in my Nintendo collection. So I do go through all these games, I talk about them, I check them out, and I play a little bit of all of them. There's a lot of them I'm never gonna finish, but you know what? I get to experience every one of them as I go through this list, which is kind of why I'm doing it. So number 21 in my Super Nintendo list, this isn't a best of list, this is just me talking about the games in my collection, is gonna be Secret of Evermore. This is an interesting one here. This is an action RPG. It does borrow a lot of elements from Secret of Mana, but it's not connected to Secret of Mana other than the fact that they both have secret in the title. This one is kind of unique. It's kind of interesting. We start off in like a modern day town, which kind of would be back then modern. And we come out of a movie theater and then our dog runs away. So we chase after the dog, end up getting sucked up into a spaceship and then crashing, and your dog is changed to like this wolf-like beast. And that's where I fall real fast on this one because the game's kind of dark. It's kind of gloomy. I'm lost a bunch of the time as I'm playing this. I feel like I need to start this one over again because I did play through it a little bit a while ago, but I'm lost in this one. All the paths are really narrow. I keep on ending up at dead ends. I can't really find my way out of a lot of the situations I end up in. It is cool that you have a dog sidekick. It does have a really cool alchemy system for its like magic. There's items you're picking up which fill your inventory, and then you're blending them together, which is kind of neat. You can send your dog to find them. Your dog will just sniff them out randomly for you too, and your dog will also fight alongside you. And you do actually get to play as the dog, which is kind of neat. Again, this is a really interesting game. This is one I think I need to start over, try it again, and see if I can stop getting lost and find out where I really need to go and go from there. Number 21 in my Super Nintendo collection, Secret of Evermore. Number 22 in my Super Nintendo collection is gonna be Super Mario All-Stars. This is the one with Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, and the Lost levels in it. This is a really fun one. I think it's cool they updated all these games for us, kind of changed those sprites, fixed some bugs, and made it so we could play these on this 16-bit version, which I think is a really cool idea. And it's really cool they finally put the Lost levels on here, which technically I think is Super Mario 2, but in Japan they were like, this is way too hard for the North Americans, so we ain't sending it over there. So they rescanned Doki Doki Panic, and we got Super Mario 2, which is also on this. So you can kind of play both of them, check them both out. And yeah, the Lost levels, they're pretty difficult. I suck at most of that. I always thought it was really cool they re-released these on the Super Nintendo and updated them like that, because a lot of us, we either put away the Nintendo, it got sold in a garage sale, all those games were gone, something like that. So it was nice to get a hold of this and be able to play it all over again. And they did a really good job with this. They didn't mess it up, they just made it better. And there is another version of this where you can get Super Mario World. This is the one I have, and eventually I'll get that other one too. Number 22 in my Super Nintendo collection, Super Mario All-Stars. Number 23 in my Super Nintendo collection is gonna be NBA Jam. These ones, the NBA Jam games on both the systems, the Genesis and on the Super Nintendo, they're some of the best basketball games we could have played back then. They're easy to play, they're fun to play, and you didn't even need to like basketball to be able to play these. I had friends that played basketball in high school. I played basketball slightly in like middle school. I was a point guard at the start. We had a substitute coach that was one of my teachers, and he made me the point guard. And I enjoyed that. I had fun doing it. I gave it my all. I really did. And then our actual coach that came back from maternity leave, and well, one of her nephews was also on the team, so he immediately became the point guard, and I immediately got benched.
You're fired! Okay.
That just sealed the deal for basketball with me. Never something I enjoyed after that. But I did enjoy playing some of the basketball video games. This was one of them. There was also one on the PlayStation that I think I used to play with my buddy Ryan all the time. I have really fond memories of going to his house, like high school age, and playing a basketball game where we could make our own characters all night long until the sun came up, and then driving home with the sun up, coming home, and then crashing and sleeping all day. Those high school memories when you didn't have to worry about a lot of things on the weekends, right? So I'm really glad to have NBA Jam in my collection. I'm excited to get the other ones in this series. And NBA Jam is gonna be number 23 in my Super Nintendo collection.
Wild shot! Wild shot! No good! 2 points!
So number 24 in my Super Nintendo collection is gonna be one that I always wanted to rent every time I saw it. Based off the cover art alone, Breath of Fire. This is a cool RPG. Again, I love the cover art on this. I can visually remember standing in the rental store and being like, I want to rent that one there because it looked so cool. It's a fun game. The encounter rate on this for an RPG is absolutely bananas, and you can't like run, you can't dash, nothing like that, which definitely doesn't help that high encounter rate when you're trying to get through the game. One thing I do love is it's got a ton of characters. Like, this is crazy. That's something I've always loved. Something I always thought was really cool was having an RPG with just so many different characters for every different type of person that wants to play it. And the cool thing about this one is on the world map, you can actually do different things based off who's leading your character. Like as one of them, I'm pretty sure you can go hunting while you're on like the world map and pick up food and stuff, which is super cool. I really like the battle system in this one. I like the way it looks. I like the visuals of it, and it does have an auto battle setting, which with all those encounters, you're definitely gonna wanna use that. Now this is one that I've never finished. I think I made it about halfway through and then the battery died on it. So it's one that I need to get back into. I need to play this again. I really want to beat this one. And this is one of those ones where like, yeah, the battery died and I lost all my progress, but I'm not afraid to try it again because I enjoyed playing it the first time. So if you've ever looked at Breath of Fire and thought, you know what, that looks cool, just like I did when it was in the rental store, and you haven't played it, it's definitely worth giving it a shot, especially when it's like still like $40. You can pick this thing up for 40 bucks, have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of random encounters, but you know what? It's a super interesting game, and there's so many cool characters in this one. Breath of Fire is number 24 in my Super Nintendo set. Now, number 25 in my Super Nintendo set is gonna be a shoot 'em up. It is Super R-Type. Now, this I believe is a port from R-Type 2 on the arcade. It's a shoot 'em up. It's got really cool visuals. I really like the look of the game, but I just suck at shoot 'em ups. And this one, it makes you want to go slower. You want to hold back and let the enemies come to you, and they still just kick my butt. Like, I die all the time in most shoot 'em ups. This one is no different than all the other ones. It's got a cool look. It's got some cool mechanics with like the pod thing that you can like leave or you can make it move around you, but I just keep dying. And there's no like checkpoints or anything. So if I do end up getting to a boss and I die, I gotta start the whole level over again. And then I just get frustrated. Because after I've died like 300 times, do I really want to try it again after I finally made it to the boss? Not really. I just wish I was better at shoot 'em ups. But Super R-Type is gonna be number 25 in my Super Nintendo set. Number 26 in my Super Nintendo set is going to be a boxing game. It is Boxing Legends of the Ring, and I actually really enjoy this one. I like that over-the-shoulder perspective while you're in there punching. I like that I need to kind of think about what I'm doing, changing those combos up, waiting on timing, working the body, all that stuff. I think that that is a super fun feature in this one, and I like that I get to play as some of the legends from like back then, like Sugar Ray Leonard, stuff like that. I think that's really cool. So if you're looking for a fun boxing game that is pretty cheap, Boxing Legends of the Ring is totally one that you should find and pick up. I mean, it's no super punch out or anything like that, but it's interesting, it's fun, and it's one that I actually really enjoy playing. So number 26 in my Super Nintendo set is Boxing Legends of the Ring. Number 27 in my Super Nintendo set. Now, I don't have the first one to this series, but I do have Super Bomberman 2. Now, I love me a good Bomberman game. This one is a lot of fun. It's got some really cool visuals. I die all the time, but it's a lot of fun. That single player game mode, super fun, super enjoyable. There's 5 levels in that. Basically, destroy all the baddies, avoid all the traps, and just don't kill yourself, and you'll make it through those levels. And once you make it through the levels, you have to face one of the bad bombers. There's 5 of them you're gonna have to fight. And the battle modes in this one, if you're having a game night, having some friends over and you just wanna blow each other up, Super Bomberman 2 is a really great game for that. It's got a tag team match. It's also got single play matches. This is super cool, super fun. Definitely one that I would order the pizzas, make some popcorn, get some chips, get those cases of Mountain Dew organized and ready, hook this up to the 4-player adapter, and just have a blast of a night, just laughing and blowing each other up. Number 27 in my Super Nintendo set, Super Bomberman 2. So number 28 in my Super Nintendo set is a racing game that is honestly one of the best racing games on the Super Nintendo that I personally think I've played. One of my favorite ones on there. It has a huge following in South America. I'm told it's gonna be Top Gear. I love the look of this. I love that there's day races and night races, different locations, different backgrounds you're driving through. I love that it just feels fast. Like, they set it up really well. The visuals look good, so you just feel like you're going really fast when you're racing this one. It sucks that it's like split screen all the time, but it's kind of nice to be able to know where your opponent is, and you can play 2 players and see where they're at too, which is, it's good. I guess you're kind of screen looking, but well, you know, whatever. At least I know how far in front of me you are. It's got really good tunes. The whole soundtrack on this is pretty awesome. Even like the manual controls where you're shifting gears, I can do it. I can operate that. It works. It just works for me. You can use your nitro boost. Definitely you want to time that. There's some strategy to this game too. There's also fuel management. There's pit stops in some of these levels. You need to watch your fuel and make sure you pit stop so you don't end up halfway around the track again and empty. And the best part, there's a password system. It's like 1 word. It's not this huge long thing. It's easy to remember, easy to write down, and then you can just keep on playing your game. Top Gear is a super fun racing game. If you've never checked this one out, it's another cheap one on the Super Nintendo you can pick up and really have a lot of fun with. Number 28 in my Super Nintendo collection is going to be Top Gear. Now, number 29 in my Super Nintendo set is an RPG that when I quit my old job, came home, I was home all the time because I used to work on the road. I decided I was going to play some of the Final Fantasy RPGs all the way through. So one of the ones I ended up picking up and playing is Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Now, this is a entry-level RPG. This was designed so people that weren't sure if they wanted to play RPGs could try it. And it's fairly easy. It's really easy, to be honest with you. But I really enjoyed it. I like the visuals. I like the look of it. I like that the monsters like deteriorate while you're attacking them. I kind of liked that it was easy. sometimes I feel like you need that so you just get that win out of it, right? Like I enjoyed playing through this. That was years ago I played through it, but I still have fond memories of it. I wish the world map was maybe a little more open because it's just point to point when you're moving around that world map. And if it was maybe a little bit more difficult, it would maybe just up the danger level slightly. But if you're not sure about playing an RPG, you think you're interested in it, you want to try something simple and easy that you just have fun with, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, definitely a good direction to go. If you've got kids that you want to introduce them to the Final Fantasy series, this would be a good option in my opinion. I feel like we're at that age where a lot of the kids are maybe at the age where it's time for them to start trying some of this stuff, and this would be a good option for that. And I mean, the soundtrack on this one is epic. So it might not be the best game in the Final Fantasy series, probably not the worst either, but Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is number 29 in my Super Nintendo set. So number 30 in my Super Nintendo set is another RPG that I did spend a summer of my youth playing and really enjoying. Number 30 in my Super Nintendo set is gonna be Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. This game, in my opinion, is awesome. I love that it's kind of its own thing. It was cool back then to get something so different. I remember seeing this in like Nintendo Power. Maybe it was Electronic Games Monthly I saw it and thinking, this is gonna be such a cool game. I loved RPGs back then. I loved the Final Fantasy series. So when this was announced, it totally blew my mind. I can remember playing through this with the biggest smile on my face, having so much fun with this. I have a lot of just great memories of playing this one summer, that first summer I got it. And it's so cool that it's just its own amazing thing, right? I wish they would have done more games like this. Metroid or Castlevania, stuff like that, thrown into this RPG style. Like if Nintendo would have just given the reins to Square on a bunch of their properties, man, we would have had some cool stuff. I think it's cool that they took features that your characters would do in the other games, like Mario's jump or his hammer, and they threw it into this, right? Those are your attacks. And yes, we're all aware we get to play as Bowser in this one. But back then, that was huge. The moment that happened for us kids, we were like, no way. That blew our minds because we never got to play as Bowser before. He was always the big bad, and now he's one of us. It's a fun game. It's a great game. It's got great graphics, and it's just awesome all around in my opinion. The only thing with this one is the lockout chip in this one. You can't play this one on a bunch of the Retron systems. There is a kind of a workaround for it, but it doesn't work all the time for me. So you do need an original Super Nintendo. But honestly, if you're gonna collect Super Nintendo, play on the original hardware. It's not the worst thing ever, and you'll get to play this one and really enjoy it. So that's another 10 games in my Super Nintendo set. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars is number 30 in that. I'm excited to start collecting more Super Nintendo games. I'm over halfway in my NES set. So once I power through the rest of that, I'll be able to focus on this. But right now, this is kind of a side quest. I'm having a lot of fun picking up these games.